I think you get like an off-road ability later in the game and stuff, but like at launch with that base car, that was a punishing game, a horrible experience.
It railroaded you. It didn't it roaded you. Because you were disincentivized from ever exploring the world because you needed your car for every major story beat. So far away, Lucas, and lovely audience at home, welcome to another episode of Wiki Weekends. And today's episode is very special because the topic was decided upon by the audience at home. And Lucas, I have in front of me 3 of the potential options our audience picked. So right now, I'd like to say 1, 2, or 3 to pick the topic of today's video.
Okay, sure. Let's go with option number 3 then.
Do you know what? It doesn't matter, Lucas, because it's all the same option. So for anyone wondering, this is 3 identical copies of the game Final Fantasy X2, because something we like to do here on Wiki Weekends is allow our audience to decide on a topic we put out once per month. And the topic suggestions that I put out were this picture of my YouTuber gamer shelf, and ask the audience at home to pick which shelf they want me to grab something from to make a video about. And presumably people picked the shelf with 3 copies of Final Fantasy X2 on it to get the explanation of why I own 3 copies of Final Fantasy X2.
Well, Karl, it's obviously because it's just your favourite game of all time, right?
Okay, so should we just get into that and just explain why I have 3 copies of the same game?
Yeah, I can't remember why you do.
Okay, so Final Fantasy X, which we've done an episode about, or at least we did an episode on the protagonist of that game, Tidus. I know it's pronounced Tidus, but it's Tidus to me. That's what I called him when I played the game when I was like 12 years old. I replay that game every single year. Final Fantasy X-2, I replay it every other year. Just to see if maybe I'll like it this time. And I never have. So one of these copies is mine, that I owned and just didn't like. Another copy belonged to an ex-girlfriend who also liked Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2, who I played through Final Fantasy X with, and then she bought this copy for me so we could play through it together, not knowing I already had a copy. The third copy, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where it came from, but the funniest part is I was looking through the discs, and this disc must be the one that belonged to my ex because it doesn't have a copy of Final Fantasy X-2 in it. It has a copy of a Mighty Boosh DVD. Which I don't watch, but she did. So this must presumably be her copy of Mighty Boosh Disc 1.
Right, yeah.
And somehow I ended up with 3 copies. But what cracks me up is they're the same copy because they got the same little sticker on, giving it 9 out of 10 from PlayStation 2 Official Magazine.
Of course, yeah.
And that's what cracks me up, so that's why they're on display on my YouTuber gamer shelf, because I find it funny that I own the same game 3 times. It's a game that I don't like.
Even though apparently one of those games is Mighty Boosh Disc 1.
Well, I didn't open it, because I replayed it earlier this year. I did like my usual replay of like Final Fantasy X. I went, oh, okay, I should probably replay Final Fantasy X too. Is it good? Does it gel with me yet? No, it doesn't.
YRP in position. It's showtime, girls.
In that vein, like, do you have like a favourite game from the PS2 era? So folks at home, same question, do you have like a favourite game from the PS2 era? Because I went like on that shelf, and obviously I picked out Final Fantasy X-2 for the topic of today's video, but I also picked out some of my other PlayStation 2 games that were hidden behind them, and they include this. Can you tell what this is, Lucas? If I hold it up to like the camera that you can see.
I've got no idea. My first guess would be maybe like, is it Silent Hill?
It's Metal Gear Solid 3. But remember when games used to have reversible covers? So this is the reversible, like, camouflage Yoji Shinkawa artwork cover. That's the original cover.
Oh, okay. When you got it out the casing, it showed up a bit better on your camera there. Yeah.
Like you can see it's like camouflage colours and Yoji Shinkawa original artwork. And that is like a common trend with the Metal Gear Solid games, because I've also got Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's a bit more clear, where the front of the box is Snake and the back of the box is Raiden. drawn in the Yoji Shinkawa artwork, and that is also a reversible cover. You can see. I miss do you miss reversible covers? Like, do you miss just having like shelf space for games that just look good on your shelf?
I do, yeah.
I really miss that. And do you know what else I miss? I know everyone always talks about this. Like, people our age, at least, always talk about how they miss instruction booklets for games. 'Cause games don't come with instruction booklets anymore. They come with like a download code to actually get the rest of the game, or fuck all. And the ones for Metal Gear are really fun because the ones for Metal Gear like include little comic books drawn to teach you gameplay mechanics.
Right.
And in that vein, Lucas, like, you got a favourite like PS2 game or like, maybe a favourite instructional booklet? Because I remember like just reading through a lot of the Metal Gear ones because they're really fun.
Speaking of instruction booklets, Karl, when I went to go get, I believe it was either Halo 4 or 5, but I think it was Halo 5 because I'm pretty sure it was an Xbox One game at the time. I opened up the case, like walking out of the shop to be like, oh, you know, let's like have a look at the instruction manual while I'm walking home and stuff, and like noticed like this is weird. I opened up a sealed copy, but there's no instruction booklet in there, and I walked back in the shop and went, "You've had me off here, and this is not a new copy. It's not got no instruction manual in there." And he's like, "No, that game doesn't come with an instruction manual," and that was the beginning of the end.
Is that the first one you remember that didn't come with one? The one for me was Dead Space 3. I remember Dead Space 3 didn't come with an instruction manual, at least the copy that I got. It came with a download code. So like, and obviously I bought a used copy, so it didn't work. It's like, use this to get a better gun. I remember that being the beginning of the end for me. But what fun thing about as well, Metal Gear Solid 2 comes with an extra DVD that is the making of the game.
Oh, that's sick.
That includes like interviews with like the cast and crew.
を書こうという気はないですから、おそらくトータルとしてそういう風に見えるんじゃないかなと思います。ただセクシーな部分は欲しいんで、それがライデンであろうとスネークであろうとセクシーに見える方がベストだと思います。
And it shows you how they made the game. And it's like, I love that shit. Why? And obviously, I know the answer why they don't put it in anymore. It costs fucking money. Also,
exactly right.
You don't want Ubisoft like having an interview with people behind the scenes, right? Because you know you're going to look them up and like they're all been fired. Well, you know?
But my favourite PlayStation 2 game is actually a game that the worst version is on PlayStation 2.
Is it the one that I'm about to pick up now? Tell me.
It's Resident Evil 4.
So I've got like a special edition of Resident Evil 4. So Joe, speaking of
nice.
Shelf presents, I have the... Do you remember steel bookcases?
Yeah, I've got like a few Pokemon ones and that, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the steel bookcase, the special edition of Resident Evil 4, and it looks fucking sick, doesn't it? It's got some weight on it as well. And this similarly has a reversible cover, which remember like the original cover for RE4, where it's like Dr. fucking Salvador in the woods.
Like, how do you have a reversible cover for a steelbook game? That doesn't work.
Well, it's on the inside, so when you open up the steel bookcase, because that cover was so iconic, the inside is the woodland scene.
Oh, okay.
And you know what's really fucking cool about this game? It comes with 2 instruction booklets, Lucas. 2. Count them. And one of them is the instruction booklet for the game. The other one is an official mini guide that tells you where all the secrets are for the first part of the game to make you go buy the Prima guide.
And nowadays, we just get nothing but a fucking disc without the full game on it.
Yeah. As mentioned, it's just a walkthrough of the first chapter, and it gives you a little bit of extra information. It tells you where the treasure is. It tells you, like, some story information. It gives you some hints about, like, you know, combat and stuff as you go through the game. It tells you, like, hey, maybe you want to shoot that crow. Maybe that's a lesson for later that you can take on while playing through the game. Always keep an eye out for crows. And it tells you what each crow can drop. It tells you where traps are. It tells you how to escape them. It gives you advice. It's like, just like in regards to these,
so good.
I fucking miss Prima guides.
Oh, yeah.
So something I collect periodically when I find them is I collect the Prima guides when I find them in stores because they're normally like £2 or £3. I love those. I've got a collection of them under my stairs, just in like a big stacker box that I occasionally go through because they're just like, you know, they're time capsules for things that I enjoy, video games. And just I'm going to put out an offer right now. If anyone out there has a Prima guide for a game, go to our Discord, found link below, and tell us about it. And if you live close enough, or within, like, you know, postage distance, I will pay you money to post it to me, 'cause I want them. So I love collecting them, and they make good coffee table books. Like, I remember the one that I had for Oblivion, which is like knocking about somewhere, and it's all presented in the style of that game. Do you know the art style of Oblivion?
Oh, sick, yeah.
It's just nice. And the final game, I thought, because you've got to mention this one because everyone knows it's one of the best, not just the best PS2 games, it's one of the best games featuring its character. Spider-Man fucking 2. And I'll tell you what, I played it a couple of weeks ago. It does hold up. The combat is a bit ropey, but the web swinging is still fucking top notch. It still feels good.
I think the web swinging holds up. I don't think the game holds up.
No, but it does have charm to it because Tobey Maguire did all the voice acting. Because it was that era. Do you remember that era of video games? Video game tie-ins actually managed to get the voice actors who didn't read their contract properly.
And this is Mary Jane. The girl next door. The girl I love. But love is a tricky thing when you live part of your life behind a mask. Fate handed me amazing powers, and I made a promise to use those powers to help people. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, and I think Spider-Man 1's the one with the, like, incredibly bad Tobey Maguire lines, right?
He did a little bit better in the second game, but you can clearly tell Tobey Maguire did not want to do it. And my favourite example of, like, a person not reading their contract is Orlando Bloom. So Orlando Bloom, fun fact, reprised his role of Legolas in, like, every single one of those crappy PS2 Lord of the Rings games.
Now taking the hobbits to Isengard.
And all of, like, the PC games, and even a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean games, because I'm just going to assume he didn't read his contracts, because obviously they didn't get fucking, like, Viggo Mortensen back, but they got Orlando Bloom.
His agent landed him a dodgy deal, but at the same time, did they? Because he was relative unknown at the time.
And I think that's what it was, yeah. Like, Orlando Bloom was, like you said, a relative unknown. So just like, okay, yeah, you reprise your role for the video games. Well, I'll get more work and more pay. Yeah, I'll do that. Not realising what that involved. Of like, okay, you got to go to a studio to just record a bunch of Legolas lines when you want to, like, see your kids. Say like Tobey Maguire, right? I'm like, it's a video game. How long do they take? And it's like, well, it's a 30-hour game with, like, 5 hours of cutscenes. Toby's like, fuck!
Yeah. It's like, there's going to be multiple days of your life.
No matter how much I might wish things were different, there's only one Spider-Man.
But I digress, Lucas. Let's get now to the topic of today's video, Final Fantasy X-2. And I have just at the top of this wiki entry, the tagline for the game, which is, last time she saved the world, this time it's personal. And I'll be honest, the first time also felt personal when the thing she's fighting killed her dad.
Now is the time to choose. Die and be free of pain, or live and fight your sorrow. Now is the time to shape your stories. Your fate is in your hands.
You travel through the land of Spira, acquiring, like, all of your Aeons to help you summon against sin to defeat it. And it turns out that no, when you defeat sin, it always comes back. And in the world of, like, Final Fantasy X, there's religious dogma that says, well, sin always comes back because the people just don't believe hard enough. And it turns out that, spoilers, the church is lying, religion is fake. Sin always comes back. Yeah, sin always comes back because it just takes over the Aeon used to kill it. So it's like this endless cycle of violence, and you break that at the end of the game.
Everyone here has lost homes, dreams, and friends. Everybody? Now, sin is finally dead. Now, Spira is ours again.
Yeah, and basically there's, like, a lot to do with, like, the religion basically being, like, immortal ghost people, basically, right?
Yes, and the main character you play as, Tidus, is the man from Zanarkand, the man from Dreams, where he is, like, the physical manifestation of the hopes of the people of the previous land of Spira who just want to rest. And they're tired of always being brought back to fight as Aeons or ghosts or monsters, and they just want to go home. They're just fucking tired and they want to go to sleep. And I respect that. The main story is, I'm fucking done. Let us sleep.
No, the main story is learning the jet shot.
It's learning the jet shot, fuck yeah. So, Final Fantasy X-2 is the direct sequel to Final Fantasy X, developed and published by Square Enix. It was released in March of 2003 for the PlayStation 2, and has since been re-released as part of the Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD Remaster collection. I will say, I do like the HD Remaster for the gameplay stuff that it added. For example, with X-2, it added a bunch more Dresspheres, and in the game, they're essentially new characters. So I appreciate that. However, it's do you like that trend now, like remasters not having stuff like the original game had, or somehow looking worse. Like things like the Dark Souls remaster that looked worse because Dark Souls was kind of dark. Let's just make everything bright. It's like no, but it was dark as an artistic choice. They didn't make it dark because they couldn't get better lighting. It's dark for artistic reasons, and the people remastering it seemingly didn't know. And
the Final Fantasy has many of these where just a lot of them, where it comes to like the PC ports back in the day, they ended up using like the mobile game assets with the awful text and stuff. That's like the smoothed out pixels and the really like smoothed out text and stuff, and it just looks blurry and awful, and those pixelated games look incredible.
Yeah, so even though I own like the HD collection, I think I've got a digital copy on my PS4 buried somewhere. I never re-download it because even though it has more stuff in it, the game looks worse. When I say it looks worse, I mean the motion capture is worse.
I will defeat sorrow in his place. I will stand my ground and be strong. I don't know when it will be, but someday.
So for some reason, when they smoothed out all of the animations, it made like the facial capture for the cutscenes look worse, where it just looks like they're like weird plastic dolls talking.
Right.
Whereas in the original, there's actual facial motion capture that they spent a lot of fucking money on and was very impressive for the time. So as a result, even though the newer version is shinier, it looks worse.
Yeah, this is around the time that they were making Spirits Within, right? Like one of the most incredibly expensive CGI movies of all time.
But Final Fantasy has always pushed the boundaries, like graphical boundaries of video games, at least in the 3D era. I think too, the jump from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VIII, which were like 2 years apart on the same fucking console, and it is night and day. It is wild that they got it looking like it did. And it's like Final Fantasy X and X-2 are some good looking games. And I think the only games on the PS2 that look better are Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Because they similarly had like fucking wizards working behind the scenes to make those games look good. And Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 4 still looks worse than the GameCube version because they had even better wizards. Their wizards were way higher level.
Ocelots are proud creatures. They prefer to hunt alone.
I will obviously, come back against you about them being the best looking PS2 games because, of course, as with every console, the driving games kind of cheat, right?
Well, Gran Turismo is, I don't even consider that to be like a video game. Like, it is a video game, but more than anything, it is a technical showcase. Because like the Gran Turismo games, and it's cheating because the things it's rendering are smooth.
And also there's only a couple of things, like a couple of big objects on screen to render at a time.
And I will say as well, driving games cheat because I've seen those crowd shots from like driving games on like newer consoles, and the crowd still looks like shit.
That is one thing that is still not great yet.
They also, as well, the more advanced car games get, they don't let you like damage the car because car manufacturers don't want them damaging cars, and I fucking hate that. Bring Burnout back.
That's why the one that I was going to pull out is Burnout Revenge.
Burnout Revenge was so fucking... I've got that. That was one of the games I was going to potentially bring out, but I can't put a clip in because it plays like music, and music will get us immediately copyright struck.
Yeah, so I want to give shout-outs to, like, those games as well. We both know that those are the, like, nice-looking games, but you also have to render, like, a few big objects, as we say, like, rather than entire, like, detailed worlds and characters and stuff.
And I will give props as well, I guess, to the Jackass 3D game. We did a fact feed video on this a few years ago, that the Jackass game for PS2 is one of like 4 games for the PlayStation 2 that can natively output in HD.
Alright, I'm Ryan Dunn, and this is called the Chinko Precipice.
The tail end of the PlayStation 2 generation it kind of like dovetailed into like the HD era. There's a couple of PS2 games that could render out in HD, and one of them was Jackass 3D.
Yeah, I think if you had, like, maybe it was only exclusive to one of the newer versions of the console, but I remember, like, Gran Turismo 4 could be in, like, 720i or something like that.
Like one of the there was a Gran Turismo game, I think Pro Evolution Soccer. I'll put the list on screen right now, but there was definitely a Jackass game that did it. Because that's what the fact theme video was about, of, like, yeah, Jackass and technology mix way better than you think, because you think, oh, it's stupid, right? It's just guys, like, just hitting each other in the nuts with, like, cricket balls.
High five!
It's like, yeah. And that's why it's so funny that, for example, with Jackass 3D, they filmed it on a Red 1.
Yeah.
And they filmed like with a Phantom cam, which cost like 100 fucking grand. And the joke from Johnny Knoxville when he was asked, like, are you actually using a Phantom cam? He's like, yeah. It's the camera James Cameron used to film Avatar, and we're going to shove it up Steve-O's ass. We got one sentence in, Lucas. It was directed by Matomu Toriyama, with Tetsuya Nomura providing character design. And that's obvious, right? Because, like, you know that Tetsuya Nomura worked on this game because Lulu's in it, and she just got the belt dress.
And isn't, like, Lulu got a baby with Waka or something like that?
Yeah, they also didn't change her model. So she's supposed to be pregnant in Final Fantasy X too, but they just imported the old model and didn't make her pregnant, and like didn't like give her a baby bump. Cause they like, well, she's in like 4 scenes. Fuck it.
Right. Okay.
So she's still wearing like the super tight belt dress, even though she's supposed to be like 8 months pregnant. It's like, I'm pretty sure. I don't know much about being pregnant, but I'm pretty sure they say don't wear a corset.
Maybe she's just not showing yet, Karl.
Maybe she's not. Maybe that Waka baby. Like, the thing as well, like Waka's baby in the womb, he's gonna be fucking doing blitzball shit, right? So one of my favourite little like details about the world of Spira is that like blitzball's a thing. It's underwater football, and blitzball players can be underwater for ages. And it turns out that they use like the fireflies, I think they're called. They like absorb them to get nourishment from like air in the water. And there's like one line in the game that always like makes me laugh, where there's like you see some blitzball players training, and some guy's like, yeah, it's we need to get as good as our boss, because last week we found him asleep underwater. Like, he's that good, he can sleep underwater. It's like, that guy's a fucking pro.
Oh god, that is a fucking absolute pro right there.
Yes, the game was the first direct sequel game in the Final Fantasy series, and the first to feature an all-female cast. So for that, it is noteworthy. An all-female cast.
It is noteworthy, but it's noteworthy how fucking dumb the naming convention is. What do you mean it's 10-2?
10-2. I'm waiting for 10-3.
Like, they did that though, right? They did a Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, and technically it's not 13-3. It's like Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13, but it's 13-3.
Yeah, and I only played like 13-1. You've played 13-2 and 3, right, Lucas? Like, for some reason.
God. I've played 13-1, 2, and 3 at least twice each.
Okay, so what is the deal with Dresspheres? Who at Square likes Dresspheres so much that they want their OC waifus to dress up like in skimpy costumes?
The answer is called me. I love Dresspheres.
Like, Dresspheres are a cool concept, but who is it who keeps trying to put them in the games and not letting you use them for male characters? Because I want Dresspheres for Cloud.
Yeah, true. I'd like them all to have outfits, but I'm, totally on board with the idea of, well, you play as Lightning, and every character in your party is just Lightning with a different cool outfit. That was fun.
It's because they realise she's the only character who's got a good design. It's like Final Fantasy 13, the game that has, like, the worst party designs in, like, the mainline series. Because, like, I think to Snow and how fucking boring his design is. It's so boring.
The male designs are bad, I think, is the answer there. I think the females all have pretty good designs, but just like I can't even remember the name of the shitty kid. And then there's like Saz as well. And like I like Saz as a character. He's got a weird, goofy design that I don't think fits in that world at all.
Yeah. Like, I just think like Final Fantasy 13 just had really boring, safe designs for a lot of the characters, and as a result, they don't stand out.
However, you can't knock the design of Lightning because, dear God, that's just peak design.
I can't criticise a character either. She doesn't fucking have one. She does. Like, isn't it in the third game they say like she's literally a blank slate created by the god of that universe because she didn't have a personality?
It literally has in the plot that Lightning literally has no character.
Anyway, the game takes place in Spira during the Eternal Calm, 2 years after the events of Final Fantasy X, and continues the story of Yuna, who has become a sphere hunter and a member of the sphere hunting group, the Gullwings, with her friends Riku and Paine. And Paine might be the most edgy of edgy characters, because she is not mentioned at all in Final Fantasy X. She's a completely new character for Final Fantasy X too, and she rocks up, and it's like, oh, that's my friend Paine. She doesn't say much, but she helps us out sometimes. It's like, who the fuck is Paine?
Hey, yo.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool and edgy
It's a
design.
cool design. Like, I'll be honest, like, the only reason it's not the edgiest design in the game is because Lulu exists, and she wears, like, the dress of belts.
Well, and also there's, Edgy the Hedgy living out there with his best life.
To be fair, they did give Yuna a gun.
They did give
Yuna a fucking gun. It's like, you know what? I might be out of Aeons, but I'm not out of fucking options.
And honestly, that Paine design kind of saddens me because they've got a gun and a sword. That would have been perfect excuse to bring back the gun sword.
Yes.
Which, actually, no, they do seem to have in one image.
Yes, so one of the cool things about Final Fantasy X too is like the dress system. Like I said, I criticised it, and the reason I criticised it is because on a replay, you can really tell how much they loved the dress system. So Final Fantasy X-2, one of the reasons I love that game so much is, say like you've got your party, you've got Oren, you've got Tidus, you've got Waka, you've got 3 dudes, right? Like Tidus is like is your thief, Oren's like your sentinel, your damage dealer, your warrior, whatever you want to call him, and Waka is like the one who gets flyers. Oh no, you come across like a flan. You need a magic user. You can just press like L1 and just immediately bring in Yuna or Lulu. And it takes 4 seconds to switch characters, and now your party maker was completely changed, and you now have access to all of the magic.
Yeah.
Perfect. Changing a Dressphere takes 30 to 40 seconds every single time. And yes, you can turn off that animation, but the problem is, and this is why I think like someone on the staff is obsessed with them, every time you like reload a new save, even if you turned off Dressphere animations, they will play again. Even if you've seen them before, every time you load up a new save. And as a result, changing, like say, I've got 3 warriors in my party, I need a thief to steal this item, you've now got to watch a 40-second cutscene of them transforming into a thief Dressphere.
Is it at least a cool transformation of like the magical anime girl?
It is cool, but the thing that's frustrating is that each girl gets their own unique design for each Dressphere, but the cutscene's always the same.
As I bear this darkness into battle, my suffering becomes my strength.
And I will correct myself, Karl, because the one image of them with Paine, at least with a gun sword, seems to be like someone trying to recreate that character in Final Fantasy XIV and being like, oh hey. So the one image I could find of them with a gun sword is it's 14 related, and I'm like, that was the perfect character to do that with.
Well, I do feel they could have put a reference to that in, because again, the Dresspheres, I like it on paper because it means that, like, you know, you can create the party that you want. And they even have a system called the garment grid. And the garment grid is when you switch between, like, 2 Dresspheres, like, you travel around this grid. And as you travel around the grid, you can unlock, like, bonuses and, like, stat buffs. Well, some are pretty simple, like, you know, just transfer between the 2, like, Dresspheres you put at these points on this grid. You'll gain access to fire magic. That way you can have, like, a character or a Dressphere that doesn't allow you to cast fire magic, can now cast fire magic. So by doing that, you could have, say, your warrior who does not have native access to magic, cast fire magic. Some of them, though, are fucking busted. They give you stuff like half MP cost, or increase your strength by, like 40 to 50 points. The problem is that if you want to go around all the nodes on your Dressphere, which you can do without using up a turn of your active battle system, it just happens and you can make an action straight away. If you're watching a 40-second cutscene to travel around 5 points on a garment grid for 3 characters, that can turn, like, you know, a battle, and a boss battle can take, like, you know, 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how, like, you know, long it goes on. You are adding, like, minutes of just unnecessary fluff to every single fight scene, and as a result, it means you just don't want to engage with that system.
I thought you were talking about it as, like, permanent upgrades, which would make sense, but...
It's only during that fight.
Yeah, then that means you've got to re-up it every single time.
Every single time.
God.
And obviously you can turn off, like, the animations, but as I mentioned, every time you reload a save, the animation plays again. And also, even if you've seen the animation for a thief, say if you turn Yuna into a thief and you've watched that animation, the next time Yuna turns into a thief, she'll just instantly transform. But if Riku turns into a thief, you've not seen her animation yet, even though it's the same as Yuna's. And it's just... yeah, it just adds so much unnecessary fluff to what is otherwise a pretty fun system to engage with.
Do you remember if they fixed that in Final Fantasy X-2?
I think,
like HD.
I think they made it move faster. You could it was definitely a lot faster because that's the problem as well with it being an active battle system. If you queued up too many, like, things in a row, the game would really fucking slow down and it try to calculate what's specifically supposed to happen next. And there's a lot of moments where your character's, like, stood still, not moving, because, like, okay, Riku needs to transform, and then it needs to be her turn, but also the enemy wants to act. Also, Yuna wants to do her attack, but her attack is queued after Riku's, and Riku hasn't technically acted yet. So sometimes you get, like, 20, 30 seconds of your character just not fucking moving.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, bear with me, like, Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Okay. Is this, like, is it the wolf one?
No, that was Twilight Princess. Skyward Sword's the one after that, but basically when you, like, would pick up a collectible like a rupee or a crafting material or anything like that,
every time, right?
It would do that every time you picked it up for the first time. And that's fine. Every time you pick up a new thing, it's like, yeah, show you the thing. If you then save and quit and start the game again, every single one of those is refreshed to remind you again of what it is. So, like, if you're just trying to play, like, a short stint, all of a sudden you were back to, like, oh, this is a single rupee. It's like,
And that's what happens in Final Fantasy X too. And as a result, you just don't want to engage with that system, because travelling around the garment grid, even though it offers, in some cases, really, really useful and fun, like, stat buffs and increases and new mechanics, you just don't want to fucking engage with it because it takes so fucking long. Also, just from a, like, you know, a build perspective, the fact that every character has the same stats and access to the same moves with the same Dresspheres means that you don't want, for example, Riku, Yuna, and Paine to all max out their thief grid, because they're gonna learn the same moves and have the same stats. So all you realistically want to do is, like, okay, one character will max out one sphere grid each, and as a result, like, the build flexibility feels really limiting as well. And also as well, you level up way too slow. You level up way too fucking slow in the original. I think they fixed that in the HD remaster, but as I mentioned, I just think that looks worse. But you level up way too fucking slow.
But yeah, this is why I was asking, like, kind of what fixes, quote unquote, were in the HD version, because in Skyward Sword HD, when they remastered that, it was just during your entire save file. If you picked up an item for the first time, there was no resetting it upon, like, saving and quitting anymore. So it just smoothed out the experience a lot.
Yeah, and I imagine that, like, again, like, maybe the remaster did fix some of those issues, but I'd prefer to play the original version while I have access to it. And
I mean, it's personal preference, right? Yeah.
And as mentioned, I don't play Final Fantasy X-2 that much, and when I do, I tend to beeline my way through the game. And I will, like, you know, do things like, I won't level up every Dressphere for every character, because it takes way too fucking long.
But Karl, the game only gets good when you max out every single character.
Well, that's the thing, like, you want to max out the characters, you gain access to the best moves, but there's no reason I can see to have Paine ever spec into being a thief. It makes way more sense to have one character spec into all the magic ones, one character spec into all, like, the thief and, like, stat buff ones, and the ones that, like, interact with the game in that way, and one character spec into the one that has, like, attack damage.
And it's weird because I kind of have a opposite problem with Final Fantasy 13, where everybody can access by the end of the game all, like, 7, I think, roles, but each character is specifically designed to be good at, like, 2 of them. So there's no reason to go against the grain and be like, well, I'm actually going to make Lightning my healer. It's like, but Lightning's one of the worst healers in the game as far as I can remember. It's like, why would you use the bad healers, not just use the good healers?
I think it's handled quite well in Final Fantasy VII, like Remake and Rebirth, where a lot of people probably don't realise, hey, Cloud's one of your best magic users.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aerith, magic stat is natively so high, but Cloud has the second highest magic stat of any character in the game. And he's a really, really fucking good mage or healer or battle mage.
And I do like that because you get different weapons,
That's
allowing
the thing,
you to
like,
different builds,
you can
right?
get Cloud like the Mithril Blade, which like raises magic and lets him do magic damage with his physical attacks. But you don't really have that with like 10-2, because as I said, every Dressphere on every character functions exactly the same, save for they wear a different costume.
Yeah, and it would be maybe nice to just give all of them like a unique move at the end of each
I think that could be fun,
thing or something, right?
Like Riku, because she was a thief in Final Fantasy X, maybe give her access to unique moves when she's a thief. Or like make Yuna have like stuff that suits her role more.
Because the thing that Riku did in Final Fantasy X was like the weird combination mechanic,
which
right?
is a class into itself, but it's not as good because stealing items is way more of a ball ache now.
Right, because like something like that where it's just you can all be a thief but give Riku the ability to combine things. Something like that to just set them apart, right?
Like it's because you no longer have access to the weapon creation system because every like Dressphere comes with its own default weapon, and as a result enemies drop a lot less resources and materials because you don't need them for that much, and as a result when you gain access to the mix ability you don't really have that many items you can use it with, whereas in like 10 the original, when you get Riku in your party you've probably fought like 500 monsters and they've all dropped a shit ton of materials that you can combine and mess with because they expect you to use those to like, add effects to your weapons and your armor.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because one game that I feel like has done a really good job of having individual party members feel individual is Claire Obscura.
I need to play that 33. Game. Every time you mention it, I'm like, fuck. It goes up like the list of things I need to play.
You really do, because each character, they all have the same access to, like, they're called, like, Lumos and Pictos or something, but they basically all have access to the same like perks essentially, so you know, extra like you know, cast haste at the start of battle, extra damage on your basic attack, etc, etc. They all have the same access to all of those, but each character has a different playstyle and abilities, so kind of every single one of them has a place in your party and feels individual and has like a unique mechanic.
Yes, whereas like in this game it's like there's no reason to make Yuna your Black Mage, save for the fact that you just like Yuna's Black Mage outfit more than you like Riku's Black Mage outfit.
Yeah. And 100%, I know that's how I would play the game is, well, which outfits do I like the most?
Yeah,
Figure
and
that out.
That is a valid way to play, but for me, like the reason I love Final Fantasy X so much is you have a lot of build flexibility. Like I said, the fact you can just craft your own weapons. Crafting your own weapons and giving them like unique effects. They might not always be useful, but sometimes giving Waka access to a blitzball that blinds, poisons, silences, and petrifies an enemy all at the same time is really fucking funny.
That's like making a fucking Skyrim weapon, that.
Yeah. Just the paralyze for 1 second on the edge of a cliff. Whoop. But anyway, development. We're 40 minutes in. Final Fantasy X wasn't originally planned to have a sequel. No. After a strong fan reaction to the short story titled The Eternal Calm, included with Final Fantasy X International, which I have read, it's fun. I have also read like the sequel to Final Fantasy X-2, which we mentioned in the Tidus video, where Tidus comes back, kicks a bomb thinking it's a blitzball and blows up and dies again. A dipshit to the very end. Producer Yoshinori Kitase has commented that at the time the team was ready for a new challenge and thought that creating a sequel to Final Fantasy X would be the kind of challenge they hadn't yet tried. It's weird to think like they were 10 games in and 10 games in, like, you know what we never made? A sequel, which I guess is true, but it feels weird for the 10th game in a series, them to consider making a sequel to be a challenge.
I guess it was still true at the time, right?
They never made a direct sequel to a storyline.
But, like, Final Fantasy VII hadn't had all its bullshit spin-offs yet at this point.
They'd not made Dirge of Cerberus. Maybe they had made Dirge of Cerberus. That's a spin-off, not a sequel.
Yeah, because there's like 2 spin-offs, there's Advent Children, there's maybe other things, there's
a board game.
Yeah, there's a lot of ancillary content to 7, but I don't know if any of that had come out by the time they decided to make 10-2.
Here's a fun one though, Lucas. One of the biggest challenges was what to call the sequel, and X2 was initially rejected under the assumption it could be mistaken for Final Fantasy XII.
I mean, like, I guess...
It does read, because when you look at the title is very fucking stupid, but I think that the name is so stupid that it's completely divorced from actually being a numerical designation.
Yeah, exactly, because I know people struggle with Roman numerals a lot somehow, but like, I don't get it.
I don't get it. Like, I can read a clock.
Yeah.
It's real fucking simple. I understand it when it's like the Super Bowl, and it's like Super Bowl LLX3. Like, wait, what? Because I've not seen an L before in Roman numerals. It normally only goes up to like 20.
I think L's are 50s, right? But yeah, it's one of those, when it starts getting into ridiculous numbers, but when it's 12, it's not that hard.
Yeah. But it's like the Fast and Furious franchise, right? Of like the numerical additions to each film are completely divorced from any sort of like counting.
I'm still just so pissed off it wasn't Fast 10 your seatbelts.
That's like the one everyone wanted, right? Fast 10 your seatbelts. Like, I always think though of like that fake image someone made of like, I can't wait for the Fast and Furious movie to come out and it'd be this, and it's Vin Diesel just like leaping into a T-Rex's mouth while he's on fire. Or, speaking of like sequels to Final Fantasy, in what was it now? Deus Ex: Human Revolution, because that was made by Square, or like published by Square.
Published by Square, I think, yeah.
In that game, there's a little poster on a wall because it's set in the future, and it says Final Fantasy 27.
Oh shit, yeah.
And apparently, that was a huge source of contention because they thought, we're going to put a nice nod in to the people publishing our game. Final Fantasy is going to be around forever. Let's just put in Final Fantasy 27. They had to get permission to make that joke.
Yeah.
And when they made that joke, they had to get someone to sign off on it because they had to make sure that they hadn't already had plans for a Final Fantasy 27.
It is very ironic as well that one of the longest running franchises in all of gaming at this point is Final Fantasy, the game that literally was the final game that Square
I've
were going to make.
That. I'll have to do a double check on if that's true, because that feels like one of those like industry legends where people don't know what Lucas is alluding to there. Do you want to just explain that?
So the at least like the kind of tale, if it's not true, I'm not 100% sure, you can fact check it obviously, but the idea is that Square at the time were struggling to find success, and they had the budget to make one more game. So the last game they were ever planning to make, they were putting it all in, and they called it Final Fantasy because it was going to be their final chance at making a fantasy RPG.
Yeah, it was like their last hurrah. And I'm not sure about the veracity of that tale, but I'll double check and put a fact bar on screen. The developers didn't want Final Fantasy X-2 to be a mere extension of the previous game. Even before the team had completed the sequel story, they had worked on recreating Yuna's look and decided on a story to fit that style. So they changed Yuna's look first and then built the story around that.
That seems about right, yeah.
Like game I can think of where they do that is like SOULCALIBUR, where according to like the developers of SOULCALIBUR, we designed the weapon first and then we designed someone to hold that weapon. Because obviously the person
okay.
holding the weapon doesn't really matter. It's like the weapon is the character in like Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
So the person holding it is less important than what the weapon looks like.
Yeah, because the entire point is that it's the weapon, and then the weapon, when they gain Soul Edge, they have like a combination weapon with the soul, right?
Yeah. And it's like the weapon is going to be the primary way you interact with that character, because that's their entire fighting style, so there's more effort put into designing that. And it's like, yeah, that's how Necrid got made. Because Necrid's not a fucking character, right?
Yeah, because in my head I was thinking, oh, but it worked, because you've got great characters like Maxi and Keelik and Tally, and then it's, oh no, you get Necrid and shit, yeah.
The thing is that, remember when they like did like Soul Calibur 5, and they're like, oh fuck it, everyone in Soul Calibur died, here's all the new characters who look exactly the same, but they're just more annoying. And the one character they didn't redesign, and they said, fuck it, she's still alive, is Ivy. Because they knew. They knew they were not selling a Soul Calibur game without Ivy.
Well, I mean, Tekken did it, right? Tekken got away with the new generation.
Yeah, Tekken put Jin in. They put the Tekken kids in. They got rid of like Bake and put in Harang.
Yeah. Like, they successfully did it, and that's the same developers, right? It's still Namco, Bandai Namco, I always get it confused, but yeah. Like, Soul Calibur just didn't pull it off.
The thing is, though, it's because they replaced them with characters who were just more annoying. Like, Jin was cool. You know, he's a bit overused now, and his design is like over-designing later games, and his story's like, okay, he's fucking done. He's had 5 games and he's feeling bad about killing half the people in the world. Fuck him. But like,
oh, was Jin cool, or were we children?
We were teenagers. You know what? It's a little from column A, it's a little from column B. I would still love a pair of those like flaming flaming gi pants. I fucking want those so bad. I want them as pajamas. I'll wear them on a first date. I don't give a fuck.
Like, them as sweatpants would be so fucking good,
they
right?
They would indeed, yes. It's like, but you've got to put Ivy in. You've got to give like fucking Eternal Punishment the hardest fucking input in a fighting game.
And they didn't replace Voldo either, right?
Well, Voldo's is just you're not stopping Voldo.
Well, exactly. You can't replace Ivy or Voldo. They are the 2 pillars that hold up that character.
It's great as well. Like, the 2 pillars that hold up Soul Calibur is like the most like 10 on 10 stacked Dommy Mommy character wearing like the fucking sailor outfit, like with a chest just all falling out of it, and the chain whip sword, and then fucking this weirdo sex creep who just penis walks his way towards you with giant scissors. Bring Soul Calibur back.
They have a thing. I can't question it because it works.
I want Soul Calibur back so much, and I just want it all I want it to be like Voldo's Adventure.
They need to simplify the shit out of that, because I was playing Soul Calibur 6 and just got confused.
There's too many systems.
So many. I just liked it. It was like, Soul Calibur 2, fuck it, press some buttons and try and ring out some more.
The best thing about Soul Calibur is that it's one of the few fighting games that commits to having ring out. I know Virtua Fighter has them, but I'm not convinced the latest Virtua Fighter game will have as many ring outs as it used to, because they say ring outs are uncompetitive. They are, but they're fucking funny. But anyway, Luke, we've gone for quite a while, but I do think it's interesting to mention this. So, one challenge with the localization was getting the tone right. As explained by Brian Gray, who worked on the Western localization of Final Fantasy X-2, between Yuna's wrist-flapping run, and I love the way Yuna runs, she runs like she shat herself.
Okay.
Which actually she runs like she's in like that anime run, like, you know, that the run that only girls in anime do when they're late for school.
Yuna, run.
What's wrong?
Don't ask, just run. Run now, run fast.
Okay. Wait!
Can you demonstrate for us, Karl?
No, I'm not going to demonstrate it on screen because I need to stand up and run towards the camera, and I know I'll eat shit. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Brothers' anime-esque antics and the in-game J-pop musical numbers, which it opens with a fucking J-pop song. It's great.
See, this is why I think I should play 10-2. I think I'd really vibe with this.
If you imagine you are a girl band on tour and shit keeps going wrong, it's an amazing game.
That's why I should probably play it, because, you know, I've watched you play Final Fantasy X, and I think that sounds like my kind of game. Is just like girl band on tour.
Do you know what? I think we should play it, or like play parts of it, if we ever get around to making that gaming channel we're on about. So if you support us on Patreon, one of my goals is to start a gaming channel. And I would do a playthrough of Final Fantasy X too, as long as we only play it as if we are a girl group on tour.
I'm happy with that, because that's how people describe Final Fantasy 15, right? It's just like, oh, it's the boy band on tour kind of vibes,
Which
right?
does work if you can find a complete copy of that game, because Final Fantasy 15 immediately lost me when I bought it day one and looked up like, why does this story feel so underbaked? Oh, go watch the CGI movie with Sean Bean, play the mobile online game, download the 4 bits of DLC that go into what your characters do, because characters will fuck off midway through the story, come back and say, what an adventure that was, download the DLC to see what they did. Also...
Yeah, and I even think that they did like 2 of the episodes and then bagged it off or something. Like, I don't think they did all of them.
Yeah, and I remember in the very, very initial release of the game, you couldn't fast travel to your car.
Yeah.
And I remember, well, I'm driving on the road, it's like, it's a Final Fantasy game, there's a Marlboro over there, fuck my car, I'm just going to walk to the next location and fight stuff on the way, get all the way to the location, you need your car to continue the game. Oh, okay, well, I'll just there's no way to teleport my car towards where I am. I now have to walk back 2 hours to get into my car.
The one thing I'll say about the car, though, is that you could play so many songs from so many Final Fantasy games. That was great.
But you can't drive it off-road. You can't drive it off-road. And when I mentioned people say, no, you could teleport to your car. Yeah, in an update, because they realised how fucking stupid that was.
And I think you get, like, an off-road ability later in the game and stuff, but, like, at launch, with that base car, that was a punishing game, a horrible experience.
It railroaded you. It didn't it roaded you. Because you were disincentivized from ever exploring the world because you needed your car for every major story beat. Mm-hmm. So you needed to never be more than 40 feet away from your car at any time. It was so annoying. But, continue here. So, Final Fantasy X-2 is probably the most non-Western looking Final Fantasy approach to date. Everything from the outfits the girls wear, because they do like magical girl transformations, to the character animations and the downright bizarre subplots is over the top in the Japanese version. To keep things balanced, we decided to write equally unpredictable and light-hearted English dialogue. In the end, American and Western gamers might scratch their heads and say, is this for real? During some of the more bizarre situations Yuna lands herself in, but the English dialogue never gets so heavy-handed that it forces the gamer to take what they're watching too seriously. And that's the thing. I like that it's light-hearted. Like, obviously, there's some stuff in that's a bit heavier. Obviously, the key plot point is, hey, Tidus died. Where the fuck is he?
Yeah. The ending to Final Fantasy X, even though it's like quote-unquote a happy ending, it's not that happy.
It's not that happy for Yuna. And Final Fantasy, I've always loved like the sillier moments. Like, one of my favourite animations in a video game, full fucking stop, is when you are playing in Final Fantasy VIII and you sneak into a base as like Selphie and the crew. And we just part like you disguise like the enemy and Selphie's like, hey, we've got to like, act natural. And she just starts doing an exaggerated fucking swag war for no reason.
Oh, okay.
Just Naruto run past. Oh shit, do we look that suspicious?
It's like, if we duck a little bit, then he won't notice us fine.
But it's like if you do the act casual, you do like a proper swag walk past, like, like, hey, what's up, man?
And I've only played the remake trilogy of Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know how much it is in the original, but the moment where you're on the ship in Rebirth and you're trying to disguise yourself, and then like Kate Sith is just walking around as a human in like the fucking trench coat.
Oh no, it's Red 13, right? Right, Red 13.
Oh, like, sorry, yeah, not Kate Sith, Red 13. I'm getting my names confused.
Armor. Yeah, that's like Final Fantasy has always had that. But I guess like obviously it's like because this is a game with like voice acting, I think it's a bit more pronounced. Because like you had like the honeybee in Final Fantasy VII, and in Final Fantasy VIII you had a bunch of like weird stuff like that. Because it's not voice acted, I suppose it wasn't as like immediately obvious. That's like the direct translation.
Just, it really got me, specifically of, like, Red 13, I'd say basically doing, like, the Ninja Turtles in a trench coat moment of, like, yeah, we're definitely a human in a regular outfit. Let me pass.
But what's your favourite, like, just out of fucking nowhere, just side plot in a Final Fantasy game? Because in, like, Final Fantasy X-2, there was a moment where you are disguised as, like, one of the enemy forces, like, guys. And just the leader's like, give me a massage. And you just got to give her a massage as a minigame, which is really weird.
Before the minigames broke me in Rebirth, I loved the moment where there was just like, can you do some like sick ass dolphin moves?
Oh, that one's good.
Like, yeah,
I want that to be an entire game. Mr. Dolphin, right? Yeah. Mr. Dolphin is so fucking... That should have been like an entire game.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that.
And just to say that cruise ship moment as well, just that entire plotline got me.
They're just like, the fact that everyone fucking loves playing Queen's Blood.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end of that storyline, it's like, oh yeah, like the game takes over people's lives and you have to go fight a fucking ghost.
Yeah, 100% the best minigame that they've put in since Triple Triad.
Yeah, Triple Triad is the tits until you fuck the game by incorporating rules from other regions.
Or you just lose all your cards.
Yeah,
if you're not very good
They have
game.
like Sphere Break in Final Fantasy X-2, and it's fucking annoying because the game clearly is designed for, oh, you want to grind this game out for like 50 hours, right? No. So I had to look up a guide online that's like, here's how you win. Just play this card on this moment because it's the only way to complete like the mandated minigame to get the costume, which is like essentially an entire character that you lose access to if you don't complete this one minigame that plays this bad, unfun game.
Because I knew so much about Blitzball in terms of like what it was, and I was so hyped to see you try out Blitzball, and it's such a bad minigame.
I know people like Blitzball, because in the Tidus episode, I talk mad shit about Blitzball, and half the comments in that video, no, Blitzball's great, you just don't understand it. It's like, I do understand it, that's why I don't like it. Because the only way to win at that minigame is to min-max your fucking team and basically just Real Madrid it and just buy all the best players. And I don't like, for role-playing reasons, deleting half my team and then just buying all the best players in the league and winning that way, because that doesn't feel like the Bezaid Aurochs are winning. That just feels like Tidus came in and just started flashing cash to buy everyone.
The oil baron bought the business and it's like, fuck it, just buy everyone.
I did not realise that Tidus was a Saudi name.
Yeah.
He's just coming in and takes over the Bezaid Aurochs. And that's like... That's it. I understand the game. That's why I don't like it, because its systems are really fucking annoying and obtuse. And as soon as you know how to play it, it's a piece of piss. And that's the problem. Like, if you know exactly what the game wants you to do, it's very easy. And as a result, it's not challenging.
It's also just very not hype to play a, like, turn-based system that is a sports game. It's like, sports games are meant to be active.
Yeah, there's no challenge there if you understand how the systems work, and the only challenge that does exist until you understand it is just in how obtuse the systems are.
Mm-hmm.
Got a banging soundtrack though. Perfect.
Are you just gonna leave it there?
How are you coping with that heat, Monfrere?
As a British person, just poorly in general, day to day, right?
Yeah, but do you know where I don't mind things heating up? Over on our Patreon.
Oh, goddamn, yeah. Where we, have a lovely shout-out here, and there are plenty of people to shout out this month for our lovely support, or their lovely support. Not our support, our content, their support.
Yes, and if you all happen to be watching this for the first time, we have a standing challenge, a gauntlet that has been thrown down. We hope our audience will pick up if they choose and want to support us over on our Patreon. That is, come up with the funniest or hardest to pronounce name possible, so that we look like idiots at the end of each video this month.
Le Grill? What the hell is that?
That is true. Or just come up with like a silly name that's fun to riff on, or as somebody has done for the last few months, just put a name in that's easy to grab clips for, right?
Yes, or a name that's really, really long, or just your name. Some examples to follow, such as Lucas.
Well, the first one would be, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, as, stands with all of these names, M. Chambers.
This is Mr. Chambers' office. Oh, he's in. Let me introduce you.
And M. Chambers is followed closely by Fallopian Starship and the Womb of Doom. And I said I'd buy their album last month when they supported us. I'm not sure I'd buy that album. That's a concept album that would remain unbought, I feel.
Well, Karl, you did say that slightly incorrectly because they present the Womb of Doom.
Oh, no. That's like a support act, right? Fallopian Starship presenting the Womb of Doom.
yeah, maybe like this really grungy hardcore metal band coming on, like just the womb of doom.
Like, it reminds me of, like, I don't know why this joke sticks out in my head, but it's from like Herb's Sims in the City for the Nintendo DS, where one of the characters you talk to just says, yeah, I was in a band called Show Cancelled and no one ever turned up.
That's actually a really solid line considering it's on Herb's Sims in the City.
I don't know why
DS.
Herb's Sims in the City is in my head, but hey.
Well, you know who's in my head right now looking at the screen, Karl? That is Kicking Bucket enjoys the bit, but they are subscribed to other patrons, so this long-winded name needs to be changed at some point. Because, their name cut off. They hit the character limit. There's no T there.
Today a great legacy rests upon your shoulders. Because here, we make more than just tea.
Oh man, it's like the Thrill House joke, right? Of like, all I did was enter my name, Thrill House, and it doesn't fit on the screen. Which is like one of the most underrated Simpsons jokes.
This is great! And all I've done is enter my name! Thrill House!
And also one of the weirdest things in Pokemon, right? Where Feraligatr just misses like the O at the end of Gator, I think it would be, where just Gator, because they hit the character limit and they were like, fuck it, we're committing to that for the rest of eternity.
Or Farfetch from the first gen, where it's got an apostrophe in its name because they didn't have enough letters to spell out Farfetched, and just that's the only Pokemon that has punctuation in its name.
But wouldn't the apostrophe be as long as just adding the actual letter in there?
Shut up, Lucas, and get on to the next name. Oh wait, that's me! And the next name is Tam McKee.
Hell goddamn yes, and the name after that would be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
I know I've mentioned it before, but you use like lovely as a modifier.
I know. You call me out and I get so embarrassed because like for some reason during recording it's the only adjective I can think of anymore.
Is there a reason for that? Is it like just the reason I say it, if anyone's wondered, like, oh, and I'm joined by the lovely Lucas, because I think of it like, a magician and their lovely assistant.
And assistant, Karl. I see what it is.
No, I mean, that a joking way. Because the back in days, right?
Joking.
Of like, oh, my assistant off screens. It's just a habit I got into.
Next, he calls in one of his assistants.
Be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
Where would he be without them?
But I've probably picked up that habit from you, and now you're calling me out on it.
Is it like it's a verbal widget for you then? Just like one of those like filler words that you use?
I think so at this point when recording. I don't use it that often when I'm not recording. That's a weird thing. It's just, I don't know. I have no answer.
All of our patrons are our lovely assistants because they assist in the making of these videos, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, they literally help keep the lights on. And by lights, I mean literally the two lights that are pointed on my face.
Yeah, that's
right
not
now.
making it any warmer at all. I totally swear. So, Tam McKee and Lucille DeSteele, once again, thank you for helping keep the lights on me and Lucas. But the next name I have to shout out is simply Marcus. And when I say the name Marcus, Lucas, who do you think of first? Is it Marcus Phoenix?
Marcus Phoenix, yeah.
Have you got a favourite Marcus Phoenix quote? And is it just...
is it just a grumble or some shit? Or is it like... I can't even remember what they're called. They're on guards, right? It's just like, they're on guards.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Marcus Phoenix is like the main character of the Gears of War franchise. And he doesn't have a single memorable quote. Every other character in that series has a more memorable quote than he does. Like Dom Santiago of like, sup bitches, every time he lands a headshot.
Or just the Coltrane go, woo!
The fact that he says woo every time he dies, because he fucking loves it. Dude just loves like, just rolling around at the speed of sound, as we all would. But, Lucas, what name do we have next? Speaking of like, rolling to escape things.
Well, this is kind of the opposite of rolling, because this is, I went say lovely. I went say lovely again. God.
I'm so sorry.
This is the extremely generous B of awesome, and they've managed to just when they someone kidnaps someone and sends a ransom letter.
Oh right,
and it's like little letter cutouts. They've managed to do that, but with emojis to spell out awesome, and then also there's now 6 B's at the end of their name.
All I can think now is to mention Gears of War, it's like the Krill.
Oh God, Karl.
No.
Karl.
No! No! I couldn't see. It's like, because it looked light enough for me to walk down. I didn't take damage for a while.
It's like, all I heard was Karl go, I think I can make it.
I think I can make The krill. So I know you don't like bees, right? Imagine if bees were like the krill. And you imagine like you go out like near a picnic and just like the bees come in and just completely eviscerate you.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't help myself because I don't like bees and wasps, and then I wear shirts like this and have hair like this, and they just go, "Oh, colour."
There's a flower. I'd say it's like the krill. It's like stepping into like the darkness in Gears of War when you're Lucas stepping outside. Just 400 bees come in, just disappear. It's like, but we move swiftly on now to Woo's Williest Wonka.
Hell, goddamn.
I'm down with that name. WWW. World Wide Web. Let's go.
It always sticks in my brain whenever someone says like World Wide Web. The factoid that many people will already know, but that WWW doesn't save any time.
No,
as an abbreviation to World Wide Web.
Yep, it actually takes more time.
Yeah,
because you go to like 2 syllable. You go from 1 syllable to 2. I thought you were going to talk about
maybe just the most inefficient abbreviation ever, right?
Yeah, ATM machine or rip in peace, right? I thought you were going to talk about the information superhighway, which we need to talk about at some point. The fact that there was that weird period in the 90s where the internet was exclusively referred to as the information superhighway. Bring it back.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway.
Bring back like textbooks with information superhighway written on them, and like kids riding keyboards like surfboards.
Oh, that was cool, because that was pretty much like Channel 4 and BBC were just co-piloting that ship of making it the internet superhighway, right?
Yeah, like the information superhighway or the internet superhighway is like, as well, they'd like present it as this like wonderful thing. It's like, hey, look, here's access to all the world's knowledge. You can talk to all your friends regardless of where they are. And I imagine if they did one of those today, it's like, here's the racism machine. You need it to get a job.
What that would mean is you could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre, with the odd stock exchange and shopping centre thrown in. It sounds pretty grand, but it all comes down to computers communicating. And in fact, that's already happening on something called the internet.
Moving swiftly on from that statement, we also have Lam de Llama.
And thank you, Lam de Llama, for allowing me to put in more clips of llamas.
What llama are you thinking of right now?
There's not llamas with hats, I've already done that. So maybe I'm going to get one of those like llamas that just like headbutt somebody. Do people go to zoos and they just like slap the nut on someone?
2 llamas have escaped from the Lamazon Corporation and are running wild in Santa Llama City. We have confirmed reports of at least 6 people dead and a further 24 in critical condition. I'm receiving word that Lamazon have deployed a remotely operated nuclear-assisted llama destroyer to neutralize the threat.
How long until you put a clip in of just Emperor's New Groove, like llama face?
I've not seen Emperor's New Groove that much. I've watched it once. You know what? Maybe we'll talk about an episode of Wiki Weekends, and yeah, let us know in the Discord. Do you want us to talk about Emperor's New Groove? It'll make us have to watch it again.
I want to watch it again. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, but I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Little Ghost. Because there's something scary about the idea of a little ghost.
No, because Little Ghost reminds me of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Is he that friendly?
Casper's pretty friendly, yeah.
I don't know, he's fucking scary though.
Makes friends with, I think it's Christina Ricci, right? Yeah.
But I still think he's scary, but I will give like shout outs to the effects they did, because apparently like making Casper the Friendly Ghost was a ball ache, because they had to develop like new technology to render like the translucent Casper for all the scenes that he was in.
So, referring to yet another movie that we may cover at some point on Wiki Weekend.
I'd love to rewatch it, because I remember rewatching it endlessly as a kid and being scared when his uncles turn up. And I had the game. Do you remember the game?
No.
There was a Casper the Friendly Ghost game, and I remember there was not a bug, but like a cheat you could do, because you could float up and down. And if you went into one corner of the map, you could float and like keep glitching into the corner until you rose above the walls and fly above all the walls and skip all the levels. And just fly straight to the final boss.
And then ending with yet another reference for a movie that we could cover at some point, because I've not seen the Stallone version of Judge Dredd.
Oh, that'd be good. We could do dueling wikis of Dredd versus Judge Dredd. That's the thing, like everyone always gives like props to Dredd. It's like, Karl Urban's performance is so good, and I can never get over the fact you can clearly tell he's clenching his jaw in every scene he's in. He's like, Whereas Stallone just looked like that.
The law! Drop your weapon!
I can see Dredd working as a series of movies, but it was also just, hey, here's one good Dredd film.
I like the idea as well, that's just one day in Dredd's life. It's not even a special day for Dredd, that's just the shit he does every single day.
Yeah, and for the partner, it was literally training day,
It was
right?
their first day, yeah. Like, they get to use the excuse of, it's my first day. But no, thank you to everyone for supporting us. If you would like to have your name read out, riffed on, or have a clip attached to it, you can, just follow the links to the Patreon below and just see it next month.
Thank you all.